What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Design Therapy, your creative community and outlet for all things inspirational, experimental, and finding that artist within. I'm your host, Cassie Patterson, a creative designer and brand strategist in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, on this episode, I have an amazing woman who not only brings light and positivity on her Instagram, but she has some killer dance moves. She helps you change your mindset and get unstuck and grow your business. Please give a warm welcome to Kayleigh Smith. Welcome!
Thank you so much.
I love all your moves. I've watched your videos. I was like, yep, I'm ready to dance. Dance party for today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so thankful to be on the show.
I love it. So you said you're out in California. How's the weather out there?
I'm a Cali girl, born and raised. I'm in LA now. I got the AC running 24/7 right now.
That's unusual for out there.
Well, I'd say we have stretches of really high heat because technically we're in a desert, so we definitely still get we can definitely get over 100, but it'll go away pretty quickly, and then it stays, I would say, springtime weather most of the rest of the year.
It's hot over here, so I'm jealous. I'll take any spurts of heat, then heat that you go outside and you're like, I think I'm dying.
I know what you mean.
Well, how are you doing mentally? How's everything? Check in with, COVID and everything going on in the world today. How are you doing?
So, I am a mom of a 10-year-old on top of everything else.
You just had a birthday and
She just had a birthday.
So did you?
Yes, we're 2 days apart.
That's awesome. So are me and my mom. Oh my gosh. We're in January though.
Okay. So Aquarius.
Capricorn.
Capricorn, right before. So she's navigating homeschooling, or I should say we are navigating homeschooling. And the other day I hear her kind of having a fit in her room. And so I go check on her and she goes, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
So,
I love it. She's getting into preteen.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You can pick up on that. But it's interesting navigating building a business at the exact same time as homeschooling, which I never anticipated doing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But all the while, quarantine, if anything, if you're a business owner, it's almost an ideal environment because you're kind of a loner throughout the process anyway. You have to be. There's just so much that goes into learning and executing and planning that you're kind of homebound anyway. So if anything, I've just tried to look at it as a little bit of a blessing that I've had less distractions, and it's really allowed me to just throw myself into my work, which I'm really passionate about, and make some fun Instagram videos, YouTube videos all the while. Got to get your dancing in.
I love that. You found some positivity in all of this chaos that we're experiencing in 2020.
I think you have to, and happiness, I very much believe, is a decision, and you got to decide, do I want to just stress out about all these elements and things that I can't control, or do you really want to just pick something to be really positive about? And LA, if you're not familiar, we're like the new New York and Italy this wave. So we literally are on pretty much full quarantine again at this point. So
I didn't know when it went into it again already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we had so many spikes of, I don't remember what the threshold is, whether it was the number of infections or the number of deaths that trigger going to the second wave, but we've, I think, hit both. So it's getting kind of dangerous out there. So I'm fine not going out, and just really hunkering down at home and
staying safe.
Hey, but thank God for the internet.
Right? We're all virtual friends now.
Yes, we're all interweb connected, and it is just kind of the hub of everything that we do now. So I'm so grateful. So long as I have Wi-Fi, I'll be all right.
You're good. I have a sign up here that says, be strong, I whisper to my Wi-Fi signal. It's my motto. Well, why don't we go ahead and just jump in, tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of where your journey started in your industry for you.
Sure. So I have a really weird story. So I was actually in the military. And in the military, I knew I didn't want to be in the military very long. So I went to school and I got my bachelor's degree. But I still didn't really know. I'm only like 22 at the time when I got out. I had no idea what I want to be when I grow up, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I ended up choosing to be a therapist. So I went to school for my master's of counseling. And when I got out, I did it for a few years. And unfortunately, my own mental health started taking a turn because you just take on so much weight from the stories that people tell you. Kind of like, I assume, nurses, you really see and are exposed to a lot, and you have to be able to compartmentalize that. And unfortunately, I worked with a lot of women, and at the same time, I had my own little girl, and they were telling me a lot of really traumatic stories. So I kind of always knew that that was not going to be my path. Well, coincidentally, the hospital that I worked for was like, hey, we're filling this marketing role, but we want someone specifically with a mental health background. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yes. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always been attracted to business. And I thought marketing was really this perfect intersection of business and mindset, because you have to understand the psychology of human behavior in order to understand marketing, and you have to understand what people's pains and desires are. So I felt like I kind of had an inside edge already into marketing. So I ended up going to school again for my business degree, and I worked for the hospital for a few years. But this is when I lived in San Diego, and I moved up to LA. And that little nag on my heart of really wanting to be an entrepreneur just would not go away. So I did a couple of other marketing jobs, and I was like, I really think that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I really enjoy talking to people about. It's just going to be my turn to really like take the leap and make this thing my own. So I ended up getting random. I went to an appointment for my lip filler. We're LA, you know how we roll. So the nurse, the nurse, was just being conversational and says, "Oh, you have a background in marketing, and would you take a look at some of our things?" And so I did, and I gave her some feedback. Well, they ended up kind of hiring me sort of on the side, and I was like, you know what? If I can do this for them, and I have all this background anyway, now's the time. Like, I really
take that leap. Yeah,
I need to do this. Yeah, take the leap. So this was last year, pre-quarantine. And I was like, you know what? I really want to do this. I really think I can. I'm at that place where I built up my mindset now, and the imposter syndrome is so real.
It is.
For people that are brand new in business. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Nobody can call me out and say that I'm a fraud or I'm an imposter, because any way you turn, like, I've got a degree in that, and I've got this many years of doing that, and I've worked in this industry. The only person who's telling me that it's not time or that I might not be good at this is myself.
Yeah. Yep. We all do
a conversation.
Yep.
So I just decided to really pull the trigger, and it's been amazing. So my first client ended up leading to some other referrals, which I think is really natural and also a compliment to myself. And then I just really started building up my Instagram presence and having a little fun and interjecting my personality at the same time. And
that's what drew me in. That you got me. I saw it on Exploring, and I was like, look at this girl. I love her vibe.
Well, that means my hashtag strategy is on point too. If that's how you found me. So all around win.
I love that. Did you ever have any like major obstacles making that transition? Not only is imposter syndrome so real, were there any like other major obstacles that kind of maybe made you weary of like making that transition, but you had to overcome to get there?
Oh, definitely. I just think throughout the whole process, it's really a roller coaster, and there's no such thing as being done like with imposter syndrome. You're going to keep
never
those milestones, and you're going to be like, am I really here? Like, did I really do this? And even if you 100% earned it, or, you know, someone has reached out to you and been like, I'm so impressed with you. Like, I'd love to work with you. You're like, really? Me? Who? You talking to me?
Yes, you.
But just the logistics of everything too. There's just a lot that goes into the building phase. I kind of have an analogy I used with my daughter, because she's like, why are you working so much? I was like, well, it's kind of like building a house. In the beginning, you've got a bunch of raw materials and it's a mess. Like everything's dirty and it just doesn't look like much. But one day the hope is that you have a really nice house to show for it. So
that's such a good analogy. That's like such a good way to describe the whole process of an entrepreneurial business or an entrepreneurial woman, you know?
Only it's more like a flipping the house, you know, on HGTV, where they
Yes.
go in and they're like, oh, by the way, we just found a bunch of mold. And oh, by the way, you've got foundation issues. That's kind of more alike what it is. But you never know. One of my things about why I love Instagram so much is you truly never know who you're going to meet, who can find you. And so long as you stay consistent, I'm really of the mindset that not necessarily hard work pays off, but just being consistent, it will pay off, because you'll hit all of these points where you don't even realize like you've overcome something, or you've worked through something, or like you've achieved this new level in your business, because there's no indicator. Like, you don't get a degree because you did this. You don't get, you know, a certificate because you did that. You just naturally get to do those new levels. And then each new level really presents its own mindset challenges, logistic challenges. You'll think in the beginning you want to do something, and then you get a couple of clients that want that from you, and you're like, I hate this. I never want to do this.
And it's okay to shift in the middle of that, you know, like having that mindset change if you decide you need to change it.
So yeah, I think that's the constant, is that it's change. Like, you just have to be so resilient and open to really where the journey takes you, and the process. Yeah.
I love that. You know, and I even posted today that it's all about the journey and the positive outlook that you have, because we could focus on so many negative things throughout our life. And especially this year, there's so much negative going on. And if you don't, like you said, have that mindset to stay positive and to stay moving, stay active, give yourself a break when you need it, but continually be consistent. It helps kind of combat that negativity side of things.
Yeah, what is it? Idle hands type of thing. If you start getting in your head and you really don't create some sort of goal for yourself or something that you're working on, that's really like the quickest way to kind of deteriorate your mindset. And so having something positive that you're working on, that you're looking forward to. And then another big piece with COVID hitting, even though that wasn't really the catalyst of me wanting to do this, is, you know, a lot of people lost their jobs. So now they have to make their own income streams, or they need to supplement an income stream because maybe they were furloughed or something. Yeah. So I just think this industry of entrepreneurs, no matter really what your service is or product is that you provide, like, I think this is kind of like a taste of the new economy, where people have to take the responsibility onto themselves to really provide an income for themselves and their families. So I really enjoy that piece of it as well, as like, I'm kind of empowering someone to help themselves.
I love that. I feel like when we look back on 10 years from now, we're going to see that we lived through some major century moments in the 2000s. Like, we're going to look back and be like, wow, we lived through that. And that's going to be in the history books.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I never in a million years thought I'd live through a pandemic that had me.
I didn't either.
That was so.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I'm like, I think the 1920s are happening all over again.
I know.
It's kind of weird. It's oddly similar.
I still forget. Like, the face mask will never be normal. And I'll still walk out of the house or go about running my errands and like, oh yeah, there's a pandemic going on right now.
Yep. And grab my mask and my sanitizer and spray people they get too close.
Yes.
Well, tell me a little bit of like what gets you creative. How do you get into a creative mode to start producing and staying consistent with like your work or being on social? Like, what do you do to get into your creative zone?
You know what? I feel like it comes in waves, to be honest. So I actually heard something about content creation and defined as being like intuitive is one style. So I think that's kind of what I would define my style is like intuitive creativity. So when I'm in that mode, like I really try to churn out as much as possible, so that I can kind of have like a little bit of a stockpile, but still make it relevant to that day. Because some days you just do not feel like it. But
Yep.
then other days, I find that being creative makes you creative. So if you don't know what to write, I'll pull out a journal and just start journaling. I don't know what to write. Nothing is coming to mind. And usually something will then come out a couple of sentences later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling really low energy, so I don't necessarily want to make like a TikTok or something. Well, if I just get up and I start kind of moving around a little bit, that's kind of when I'll start feeling in that groove. And then to get ideas, I'll just scroll. Like I'll see kind of what other people are doing, and usually I'll get struck by some sort of idea. TikTok is such a wealth of creative inspiration, and now I've been trying to use Reels. So I have to kind of be in the mood. If I can't, or just I lost my train of thought. But if I kind of go into a creative space that people are being creative, that inspires me to then find my own.
It sparks new ideas and growth and like what you want to produce for that next month. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got to write stuff down. So again, when you're struck by stuff, don't make one note, kind of make like 2 or 3, because that's how you stay consistent rather than like each day trying to come up with something to be really creative in.
It's very interesting that the way that you, so if you don't have an idea, you say you start journaling. I know me being in the graphic design industry, when you want to produce like a logo or a brand name, basically what I learned in school is you write out these word lists or you have these brainstorms, and you just, even if the word is good or bad, you write it down because you have to get through all of the crap to get to the good words, and then ultimately you can start marking off what you don't want. So it's very interesting of how these processes kind of flow over to each area.
Yeah, I like that. I might end up using that.
It really is. Like, even if you have like my teacher would force us, he's like, even if you think of like the most random, terrible word that has no relation to that topic, it gets it out of your head so you don't have to constantly think about it. Because if you leave it there, you're going to think about it.
Yeah.
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 I love that.
I'm such a proponent of writing stuff down. I think it sparks creativity. It's kind of like how you can get stuff out of yourself. And that's kind of like, if I were to give one piece of advice to people, it's like, write it down.
Yeah. Have that journal in your back pocket.
Yes. Or at least notes on your phone or something.
Exactly. Or digital, Well, I love that. Well, tell me a little bit about, do you have any artistic influences that kind of influence your work? I know you said that you scroll through Instagram and start looking at what other people are doing. Do you have anything in other industries or genres that inspire you in your work?
I'm such a lover of music, so I think that's why.
What's your favorite music?
I love like electronic dance music, just really upbeat, fun, and makes you dance, and it almost like the music that you can't sit still to. I've really been enjoying TikTok and now Reels for that reason, is because I get to dance, I get to include some music, and just share videos of me having fun at the same time as being educational. They're called educational.
Educational.
educational videos. I forget what they're called, but they're like the new style of sharing information. So it's leaning more and more towards, we're tired of seeing stuffy people standing up at like a whiteboard and talking about things or just being advertised to. Like, we want to be entertained.
It's the culture we live in. We want to be entertained or talk in an entertained way.
Yeah, so music for me is always that inspiration. And if I can include music into more of my day, like that just helps me physically flow, but also mentally flow.
I love that. Well, what is some of the things, so we talked about the obstacles, like what are some of the favorite things that you've loved in the last year about transitioning into more entrepreneurship?
I've been really just enjoying, it is what you make of it. And you really embracing that this is now a lifestyle. It's not just a job. And so I've really just been enjoying trying to create really a new life for me, and one where I get to express more of my creativity. I get to have more of an influence of like the type of work that I do, and adding some of my personality. I've worked in the corporate environment before, and you're just so limited and restricted. You really just don't get to be yourself. So, you know what? If I want to drop a cuss word every now and again, that's me. And I don't really want to have to filter myself. And I really enjoy that this is kind of like a coming together of all of my identities. You have to be kind of a different person with your family, or a different person at work, or a different person, with me as a mom versus me as a friend. And being your own boss, all of that gets to be just you. And more now, people really don't care what you look like, or, if you have some sort of flaw about you. They're really just chasing results. They want the information. They want to help themselves. So
they want authenticity.
Yeah, they want authenticity. They want a genuine person. And I'm definitely like a recovering perfectionist too. So it's just been nice to be validated kind of for the real person that you are in a professional sense. And then the more comfortable that you are with your own skill set and like your kind of new identity and like your new role as like a CEO and all the things, it just, like you said, it makes you feel like you get to live a more authentic lifestyle, and the possibilities are endless. So it's kind of hard to be negative, because as much as you put in is what you're going to get out. If you're lazy about it and you kind of have a bad attitude about it, you're to blame for why your business isn't.
It's your mindset, right? We go right back to the whole purpose of having that mindset to take the next steps in your business.
Absolutely. So my main title is for marketing, and what I really found with mindset was that when entrepreneurs were reaching out to me to help them market their business, I kept noticing all these trends of all of these really limiting beliefs and these mindsets that fed into them not charging enough for their prices, or them feeling like really shy to talk about their service, or them feeling like, oh, I'm going to be aggressive if I reach out to someone to try to get their business. So it just kept going back to like, we got to talk about some mindset stuff before we ever talk about, true marketing. Because if you don't believe your worth, or you don't feel that, this price is a true value of what you're providing to them, or you have some sort of issue around money, maybe that's from your childhood, it's going to be really hard for you to be successful in marketing your services. So I always kind of start with that mindset stuff far before I start any sort of marketing teaching.
Yeah. I love that. So do you have you ever learned any new skills through this whole process? Even for yourself, if you've had these mindsets and these beliefs and things to help you elevate yourself to the next level, have you had to learn anything else along the way outside of what your skill sets that you've acquired beforehand?
Oh goodness, that's an understatement.
You do everything.
You really, so, a professional development, becoming an entrepreneur is just as much professional development as it is personal development. I wish someone had kind of told me that at the beginning. I found that out along the way. I had to learn so many new skills like video editing, all of these things, mindset wise though. So how I said I was kind of or I am a recovering perfectionist. So really prioritizing progress over perfection. That's been a challenge for me to do. And then because you're so pulled in all of these different directions and wearing so many hats, I'm really good at taking action. I'm not so good at recognizing when I need to honor the limits of my physical capabilities and my mental capabilities. So I burned out before and it was absolutely miserable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've burned out a couple of times in my career and I'm like, man, I needed to, I'm learning how to not get to that point anymore, and just recognizing those triggers and those pinpoints of okay, I'm starting to go down that path and I don't need to go there, and I need to take a break, take a breather, step back and evaluate.
Oh yeah. I don't know about what your burnout looked like, but mine was just complete physical and mental exhaustion for a few days. And that's not sustainable. So you can't guarantee that the day that you burn out, you don't have something really important going on the next day. And then you're getting into health issues. And health is your first wealth. So I really try to honor the limits of my body and really being aware of feeding my body with good things and feeding my mind with good things. So you have to have more of a preventative way of doing that as an entrepreneur, and not really knowing your schedule or what's going to happen. You have to pre-plan for the potential of a burnout too.
Yeah.
So a lot of just time management, personal management, and
I think that's an understated skill that a lot of people don't pay attention to, especially, whether they're changing businesses or starting out in their career. Time management, organization, they're so understated in top skill sets. You have to have those skill sets in order to be successful. If not, it's going to be chaos and you're never going to get anything done.
Well, the number one reason why someone hires a coach is for accountability, for that exact same stuff. So most people don't have that natural ability to plan out and organize their day perfectly. And I would argue that the person who does is probably less creative. So you really need to have both, of kind of that left and that right brain going on at the same time to be successful. So yes, I don't even know if it's something that you have to learn. You have to have systems really in place. You have to have things that hold you accountable.
Or find the help that you need, obviously.
Yeah.
Or get a consultant or business coach or mentor to help you, fill in the areas that you're weak in. That's specifically why I chose design, is because I'm a very mathematical, organized, structured, detailed person. And graphic design is it can be very structured and very mathematical and pattern based, and not so much as free flowing creative. So, it definitely kind of goes hand in hand with why you pick things, or, what paths you go down. So yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting when I got some of my first coaching clients to kind of learn. You again have an expectation of what we're going to cover and what this is going to go over, and it always ends up being you're probably 2 or 3 steps behind sort of the tangible skills that you planned on teaching this person or working with this person on, because there needs to be so much more of that mindset work and that structure work and setting up of their lives, however that may look, to then be able to absorb those tangible skill sets and replicate them and do them at a certain point when you're not around, for them to have them be successful.
Yeah. I love that process. You're taking it and it's coming full circle to, making sure, ensuring you're successful. And like you said, getting unstuck in your title, getting unstuck and helping you level up your business.
Unstuck is the perfect word.
I love that.
Perfect word.
Well, I love asking this question to everybody. So this is a very open-ended question. What would your ultimate dream project look like for you? As an entrepreneur, or, you have unlimited resources, unlimited connections, unlimited time and space. If you wanted to have this on Mars and we had a ship to take you to Mars, you do you. So what would this project look like for you?
Oh, man. I think I would do something in the music industry. Like, I'm in LA, so
you're in the perfect spot.
Yeah, you get exposed to these worlds that are only real on TV, and then you end up meeting these people. So I don't know. I think I would do something with like Cardi B and just have a whole lot of fun.
I love it.
Let's say Cardi B wants to start a new product or something. Like, I would love to help Cardi B market this and like create some sort of like little commercial jingle.
Yes.
Just be on set with her making some like music video commercial. And I don't even, like, that would be such a surreal experience.
Hey, projected goals, in a couple years, I'm going to see that. I'm going to be like, yep, I know her. We talked about that. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Whatever comes after WAP, I'll be part of it.
There you go. That's you. All you. I'll be like, I know helped create and produce that.
Yeah.
I got the hookup for you.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. Well, last question, what is some advice that you want to leave with others that has really like resonated with you and that you want them to help them in their careers? What advice would Kayleigh would want to leave with them?
Yeah. So I actually made a video about this on my Instagram. Was in the beginning of becoming an entrepreneur, if you just recognize there's kind of like this natural flow of what that process is, it makes it a little less scary, and it makes it, you'll recognize the process more. Kind of like if someone tells you, oh, you got to go through grades K through 8 to get, to graduate. You're not like, well, what the heck is going on in grade 5? You know what's to come. So the same with entrepreneurship is that at the beginning, you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So it's kind of this, I'm still excited about it. Like, I just have to learn. And then you get a little bit further into your process and you realize you know what you don't know. So then that's really when like the weight of everything hits you, because you realize how much more in depth of a process that it actually is and what it truly looks like to build out your business. If you can just push through that, like if you just recognize when you're in that space of like, I can't do this, this is too much, this isn't for me, that's really when imposter syndrome is going to be like at its highest. Just know you started this for a very real reason. And there was something inside of you that was really inspired to go on this journey. And if you stop, one, it's probably going to be nagging at you the rest of your life, or it's going to come back worse, later on. If you can get through that point of, I know what I don't know, you then get to another point of, you're kind of like, you got training wheels in your business and you see what the scope of the project is, and you regain your confidence and you're like, I can do this. Like, I see what I have to do. It's still a lot of work, but it's not as like soul crushing as being in that,
it's that persistence of it.
Valley of it all. So if you can just recognize this is kind of the flow of, especially in the beginning, like keep pushing through, because you will get out of the woods, and it's it is so reassuring, and it will help your own confidence for you to push through that and get to that new place.
Oh, I love that. It's such a beautiful, persistence, discipline, and just keep chasing those dreams and that you've always wanted and not giving up. It's such a real journey and lesson to learn, is to just not give up.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this episode. I loved hearing more about your journey, and I love that now we are fully connected and we can probably do some dance reels together. Again, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your story.
I'm so honored to be a guest. Thank you, Cassie.
Well, let everybody know where they can subscribe, follow all things Kayleigh Smith.
Yeah, so my main hub is Instagram. My name is spelled kind of funny, Kayleigh. Last name Smith, and then .me is my handle on Instagram. I'm also going to start doing more YouTube content, so it's my same name on YouTube. You can find me and come say hi. I always love meeting new people. And like I said, one of my favorite things about Instagram is you never know who you're going to meet. So come meet me.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you everyone for coming on this episode and joining us and listening to her journey. Make sure that you follow all things The Design Therapy on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and also at my website at thedesigntherapy.co. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure that you stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and we'll see you next time. Bye.